The Supreme Court clears the runway for President Trump to end a major immigration program. Inflation cools while spending stalls, and we'll tell you which states top the charts for car crashes. Later on, a Missouri town has a déjà vu moment you've got to hear to believe. And your trivia question: there are many requirements for driving. Which common one isn't required for NASCAR Cup drivers before they race? I'll have the answer at the end of the show. It's Saturday, May 31st, and this is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Hey there, and happy Saturday. I'm Amy Hess, and this is your weekend edition of the Flyover. With June right around the corner, it's really starting to feel like summer. Hard to believe the first official day doesn't hit until June 20th, but I'm already having beach thoughts. That cool breeze, sand between your toes, you know the vibe. Do you have any fun summer travel planned? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear where your favorite getaway spots are. All right, we've got the news you need to know, so let's get right to it and get ready for takeoff. Here are the top headlines we're watching this weekend. First up, a major immigration ruling from the Supreme Court. The court has ruled that President Trump can end a parole program that had allowed around 500,000 immigrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela to remain in the U.S. The program, originally created under President Biden, was blocked by the Trump administration, but lower courts had temporarily halted that decision. Now the High Court says the rollback can proceed while appeals continue. Justices Jackson and Sotomayor dissented, while Justice Kagan sided with the majority. The decision follows a similar ruling 2 weeks ago affecting the status of nearly 350,000 Venezuelans. Next, inflation is easing, but so is consumer momentum. The Fed's preferred inflation gauge fell to 2.1% in April, down from 2.3% the month before, and slightly below economists' forecasts. Consumer spending, meanwhile, slowed sharply, up just 2% last month, while the savings rate jumped to its highest level in nearly a year at 4.9%. Personal income rose 0.8%, and food prices dipped, even as energy costs ticked up. And rounding out the top stories, a new study ranks the most accident-prone states in America, and the Northeast is leading the list. Massachusetts topped the chart with a 6.1 crash rate, followed closely by New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Maine, and Nebraska. By generation, Gen Z drivers had the highest accident rate, nearly 7%, while baby boomers were the safest on the road at just over 3%. And when it comes to cars, Kia, Mazda, Chevy, Jeep, and Volkswagen were the most frequently involved in crashes. Michigan had the lowest crash rate of any state, about 1.7%. Here's what's making political headlines this weekend. First up, the FBI is investigating a cybersecurity breach involving Susie Wiles, President Trump's White House chief of staff. Wiles reportedly told colleagues her personal phone was hacked and that one or more impersonators used her contacts to send fake messages to U.S. senators, governors, and top business executives. Some of those messages raised red flags when the sender asked to move the conversation to encrypted platforms like Telegram. The White House says it's taking the matter seriously, and the FBI has launched a formal probe. Next up, PBS is taking President Trump to court over his recent order to cut off federal funding for public broadcasting. The lawsuit filed Friday in D.C. federal court accuses the administration of retaliating against PBS for what it calls, quote, perceived political slights in its news coverage. The network argues the order violates the First Amendment by punishing PBS for its programming content. The White House counters that PBS and NPR are using taxpayer dollars to push what the administration calls, quote, radical woke propaganda disguised as news. Meanwhile, at Homeland Security, officials have released a list naming more than 500 cities, counties, and states they classify as sanctuary jurisdictions, accusing them of obstructing federal immigration enforcement. And finally, in politics, President Trump says China has, quote, totally violated a recent trade deal that paused tariffs between the two countries. He hinted at possible retaliation, calling China's delays, quote, unacceptable. Stocks took a dip after his comments. Today's episode is brought to you by David Protein Bar, a bar unlike any other. Most protein bars are packed with excess calories and sugar, basically disguised as cookies. But this one, it's different. David has 28 grams of protein, just 150 calories, and 0 grams of sugar. That's right, 0. In fact, 75% of its calories come from protein. We're all trying to hit our protein goals without wrecking our health in the process, and this bar makes it simple. Minimal calories, no sugar, and plenty of fuel. It's the perfect snack to bridge that afternoon gap between lunch and dinner. Flavors? Oh, they've got you covered. Chocolate chip cookie dough, blueberry pie, and the new cinnamon roll. All winners. And get this, buy 4 cartons and you get a 5th free. Don't just take our word for it. Go try one at davidprotein.com or click the link in the show notes. This is the protein bar of the future. You'll spot that gold wrapper everywhere soon. And once you do, you'll know snack time just got smarter. Coming up on the Flyover, a big hike in SEC fines, MLS outpaces the NBA and NHL, and France says no more smoking on beaches. But first, let's check in on the markets. It was a down day for most of the markets Friday, but there was one bright spot. The Dow Jones managed to inch up into the green, rising 0.13%. Meanwhile, the Nasdaq dropped 0.32%, and the S&P 500 was basically flat, down just 0.01%. Over in crypto and commodities, Bitcoin slid nearly 1% to just above $104,000, and gold dipped slightly at 0.02% to close at $3,316.50 an ounce. As always, Bitcoin and gold will keep trading through the weekend, even while Wall Street takes a break. From the Stanley Cup Finals to new rules in college football, here's what's making headlines in the world of sports. First up, the Florida Panthers are headed back to the Stanley Cup Finals, facing off once again against the Edmonton Oilers in a rematch of last year's 7-game showdown. In Major League Soccer, MLS saw the fastest growth in new sponsorship money among U.S. sports leagues last year. 18% of all team revenue came from new deals, outpacing the NBA and NHL. Inter Miami led the league in sponsorship earnings, fueled in part by the continued impact of Lionel Messi. And in college sports, the SEC is scrapping its old escalating system and will now fine schools a flat $500,000 anytime fans storm the field or court. The conference says the change is about controlling crowd chaos and ensuring players and officials can clear the area. The SEC first introduced fines for college field storming back in 2004, but it hasn't stopped the problem. One more from the college ranks. ESPN has ranked Tennessee as the top college baseball team for MLB talent, with Arkansas and LSU right behind. All right, let's head into the Rotator. Today's Saturday, and that means it's beyond our borders. Let's take a quick look at what's making news around the world. First up, Canadian wildfires are back in the news, with smoke from 160 fires triggering air quality alerts across several U.S. states, including all of Wisconsin. Next, in Nigeria, torrential rains and a dam collapse flooded large parts of the town of Mokawa. At least 111 people are confirmed dead, with many still missing as rescue crews continue search efforts. And in France, a nationwide ban on outdoor smoking goes into effect July 1st. It'll cover beaches, parks, school entrances, bus stops, anywhere kids are likely to be nearby. Officials say it's all about protecting clean air for children. The move comes as nearly 80% of French citizens support bans in public spaces, and with tobacco-related illnesses causing more than 75,000 deaths each year, roughly 13% of all deaths in the country. Still ahead on the flyover, a heartfelt farewell to a TV legend, a spelling bee comeback, and one Missouri building that just can't catch a break. Plus, we'll hear from you in today's pole position and stick around for the trivia question that might just surprise you. Let's see how well you really know NASCAR. All right, before we land today's episode, here are a few more stories making the rounds. Some surprising, some sweet, and one that's just plain strange. We start with a farewell to a TV legend. Loretta Swit, best known for her role as Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan on MASH, has died at age 87 at her home in New York City. Swit appeared in every season of the long-running series and won 2 Emmys for her performance. The MASH finale in 1983 drew more than 100 million viewers, still the most watched scripted episode in television history. Off-screen, she was a devoted animal advocate and founded the Sweetheart Animal Alliance to fight cruelty and protect animals. Another notable passing this week, Bernie Kerik, the former NYPD commissioner who led the department through the aftermath of 9/11. He has died at age 69. Kerik was appointed by then-Mayor Rudy Giuliani in 2000 and became known for his hands-on leadership style. He earned the nickname America's Cop for his role in overseeing New York City's emergency response, recovery, and investigation following the September 11th attacks. He died Thursday from cardiac disease, surrounded by family and friends. In much lighter news, Texas teen Faizan Zaki is this year's Scripps National Spelling Bee champ, redeeming his second-place finish from 2024. His winning word, éclaircissement, meaning to clarify or enlighten. Wow, I can hardly say it, much less spell it. And finally, one that sounds made up, but isn't. A car went airborne and crashed into the roof of a Missouri Veterans Hall, but it's the second time in 3 months a vehicle has launched into that same building in the exact same spot. One crash happened during a police chase, the other may have involved a medical emergency. Thankfully, no serious injuries were reported this time, but the building's still recovering from the first one. Now it's time for Pole Position, where we turn the mic over to you. Yesterday, we asked our email subscribers, have you ever owned a Ford? Here's how you answered. 71% said yes, 18% said no, 5% said not by choice, and 6% said I'd do it again. I'm with the majority here. I had a creme brulee Ford Edge that I absolutely loved. When that thing finally kicked the bucket, it really felt like a relationship had ended. I loved that car, but I'll be honest, a snazzy new one really helped me bounce back pretty quick. All right, here's today's question. Do you leave the TV on for your pets? Your options, yes, no, or only for shows they like. Let us know what your furry roommates prefer, and I'll share the results in tomorrow's episode. All right, before we wrap up, here's a little brain boost, your trivia of the day. Here's the question again. There are many requirements for driving. Which common one isn't required for NASCAR Cup drivers before they race? The answer? A state-issued driver's license. To compete at the Cup Series level, drivers don't need a regular license like the rest of us. Instead, they're required to have a NASCAR-specific competition license. Most earn it as they climb the ranks of professional racing, and it'll cost about $2,000 a year to maintain. So yes, Cup drivers can fly around the track at 200 miles an hour, even if they're not legally allowed to drive a minivan to the grocery store. All right, that'll do it for this weekend edition of The Flyover. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll be right back here tomorrow, same time, same place, with all the stories you need to know to start your week informed and maybe just a little smarter than you already are. Don't forget to like, follow, and share. We've got so many exciting things coming your way here at The Flyover, but all in due time. Want to stay in the know in your home state? We've got editions for Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Texas, Colorado, Tennessee, Arizona, Virginia, and Ohio, and we're constantly adding more. Head to jointheflyover.com to sign up for yours. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and as always, thanks for flying with us.